ToxicDot.com, aka Mr. How to Let Your Motherfucking Boy. So I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on this, man. I did a video about this, a little bit back, talking about Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, and I pretty much, in that video, I was pretty much like, there's way too much money on the table in order for this fight not to happen. And, that's exactly what it is. There was just way too much money on the table for this fight not to happen. It's a win-win situation for Floyd. I mean, he's making $500 million fighting the amateur. And for Conor McGregor, he's, like he said, like he tells you, he's quadrupling his net worth fighting Floyd Mayweather. Not only that, but his star power doesn't diminish at all by losing to Floyd Mayweather. History has proven that stars have gone on. They've gone on after losing to Floyd Mayweather and been just fine. So I predict Conor McGregor will be more or less the same. Unless he gets completely and utterly fucked up by Floyd Mayweather, then yeah, he might lose a little something on there. But nevertheless, more than likely what will happen is Floyd will box him to a 12-round decision. And it'll pretty much look like an Andre Berto versus Floyd Mayweather fight. Similar to that, So what I want to do today is I want to give you guys my thoughts on it. I'm not going to do several videos talking about this shit. I'm not going to do all that shit. First of all, I don't got enough time for the shit. Second of all, it's just not important enough of a fight for me to talk about. I'm not purely in it for AdSense views and all that shit. If it's not important to me, if I'm not enthusiastic about the fight itself, then I really don't give a shit. More or less. But aside from that, let me give you guys my thoughts on this whole Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor show, okay? Because that's exactly what this is. It's a show. It's a spectacle for sports and entertainment, all right? It's made to satisfy the casual fans, all right? This is casual boxing heaven is what this is, all the casual boxing fans, they probably huddled up in a circle and they were probably like, what would it be like for Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor to fight? They were probably in some corner somewhere talking about this bullshit, and and it's finally come to fruition for them. So this is like, yes, for them, So it's cool, it is what it is. Like I said, it's a show. It's sports and entertainment. Doesn't really mean much for either fighter, But there's too much money on the table for the fight not to happen. So what I want to talk about is first I'm gonna start by talking about like the press conferences and shit. I'm not gonna go through each press conferences and all that shit. I'm just gonna give you guys my overall thoughts about the press conferences and in general. And let me go into it. All right. So all these press conferences, they were very entertaining. They were very, very entertaining. A lot of people didn't like them, maybe because something was said in one of the press conferences that maybe rubbed someone the wrong way from one time to another. But that's exactly what it's meant to do. These press conferences in general, they're meant to rub you the wrong way, to get your attention, all right, to make you want to buy this fight. Because all of this is really marketing and promotion and publicity at the end of the day. There's just too much money on the table. So, what they want to do is they want to take it from too much money on the table to a shitload of money on the table. All right. They're trying to transform this thing into it's already a global event, but they're trying to transform this thing into a universal event. Okay. All factors of society. They want all factors of society to be emotionally involved in this fight, okay? Whether you're a gay person, whether you're a black person, whether you're a white person, whether you're a Hispanic. I don't know how they tied in Hispanic. I don't know how, whatever, even though, whatever. But anyway, so they're just looking to somehow associate every demographic to this fight, period. Okay, and it's working for the most part. If you pay attention to these press conferences, there are 20,000 people at these press conferences. 20,000 people went to watch these two guys talk shit to each other. They're not comedians or nothing. They're not funny, none of that shit. 20,000 people went to each one of these press conferences just to watch these two motherfuckers talk shit to each other. All right? That's pretty much what took place. All right? So, you know what I mean? And not to mention all the people that watched it on YouTube and streamed it and that sort of thing. So, I mean, you know, this is in real life a spectacle. You know what I mean? You know, as for what was said in the press conferences, like I said, it was pretty much geared towards getting every demographic emotionally involved in the press conferences and that sort of thing, and you know all that, you know, and then it's cool, you know, all of it is cool, you know. A lot of people suspect, and it's just like I mentioned, it's manufactured that way. So a lot of people get involved. So a lot of people are saying that Conor McGregor's racist because he said some comments about this and said some comments about that. And you know what, man? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was, you know, but I'm not going to say whether he is or isn't based on those comments because I know what this is. You know, I know what this is trying to be. I know what this is in build up to, you know. You know what I mean? But overall, man, it was an entertaining event. You know what I mean? Now, if I had to pick one thing out of the press conferences, you know, out of all the press conferences that I didn't like. And oh yeah, by the way, a lot of people, they talk about how this shit is scripted and all this shit. You know what I mean? You know, 90% of everything on TV is scripted, okay? So just because it's scripted, it doesn't mean that it's not good TV or good entertainment at the end of the day. Because that's why we're watching this shit at the end of the day. Good entertainment. But anyway, the one thing that I didn't like about these press conferences, the one thing I didn't like, all right, and this is something that I don't stand for, and this is something that the boxing fans need to not stand up for, okay? And I know there's a lot of people that did some videos about this, and you know what I mean, but whatever. But I have to address it, you know what I mean? I gotta go in on this shit because it bothered me. That's what prompted me to actually do this video. This is actually the topic of the video, okay? All right, and the topic of the video, and you read the title when you clicked on the video, don't disrespect boxing, okay? Don't disrespect boxing, Conor McGregor. Don't do that. I don't like that shit. I take offense to that shit. You know what I mean? This motherfucker prances his ass up there on the stage and talks about how this is half of a fight. Half of a fight. Well, I guarantee you, Conor, you're gonna take more than likely a full ass whooping. And if you stepped into the ring with a real boxer, okay? Because Floyd is retired, all right? Let's just keep it real. I love Floyd, but he's retired. So if you stepped into the ring with a real boxer, okay, a Canelo Alvarez, a Keith Thurman, all right, or Earl Spence, anyone around that weight class, I mean, so many people I can point to, I guarantee I'm willing to put everything I own that you would get knocked the fuck out. So, you know, all this half a fight bullshit. I don't know if maybe it was geared towards saying that it was with Floyd Mayweather, because it's with Floyd Mayweather that's what makes it half a fight, not the fact that it's in boxing. But if that's what he meant, then he should definitely elaborate on that. But fuck all that. I'm gonna take it as if he's disrespecting boxing, because he didn't elaborate on that. It sounded to me like he was disrespecting boxing. So you disrespecting boxing, motherfucker. So with that being said, let me go in on this shit now. You know what I mean? Because you say this half a fight shit, all right? You know, and these MMA guys, they kill me because he's not the only person that shares those kind of sentiments, you know what I mean, about boxing. You know what I mean? A lot of the MMA guys, some of them, they feel a certain type of way about boxing. Like, oh, that's not real fighting. Oh, they're not throwing any kicks, no punches, no knees, no elbows. You know what I mean? Like real homo shit. You know what I mean? But the real factual shit about this is most of these MMA guys want to be boxers, okay? When we put all the bullshit out the window, when we throw all that shit to the side, most of these MMA guys want to be boxers, okay? And why do they want to be boxers? Well, Sam, they want to be boxers because boxers make more money than MMA fighters, point blank period. So who in their right mind would decide to take less money to be an MMA fighter when they could be a boxer and make double, triple, quadruple, even centuple the money they make than a UFC fighter or MMA fighter or whatever? Nobody in their right mind would take less compensation for more risk. No one would do that. You mean unless there was a really good reason. I mean, a really good reason. I mean, you know what I mean? So let's just put the bullshit aside. I mean, these MMA fighters, they couldn't be boxers. It's not that they didn't want to be boxers. Most of them, they couldn't be boxers because they couldn't hack it. They weren't good enough to be boxers. They got in there with real boxers and got their ass whooped. They got in there with boxers and got their ass whooped. Point blank, period. You want to talk all this shit about half a fight and all this goofball shit, but you couldn't hack it in a boxing ring versus an average fighter. You couldn't hack it. You would be in there with people that have 15, 16 losses fighting life and death with them. Boxing is a brutal sport. Because all it takes is one loss for you to be completely and utterly off the map. So the fact of the matter is, most of y'all motherfuckers want to be boxers and couldn't hack it. So you couldn't hack it in boxing, so you decided you were going to go to MMA. That's really the reality of the shit. And I'm not trying to shit on boxers, you know, I mean on MMA fighters, you know what I mean? Because I respect MMA, you know what I mean, mixed martial arts and all that. I respect the shit. I mean, it's a real sport. It is what it is. You know what I mean? But the fact of the matter is, most of these fighters in MMA, they haven't mastered MMA. They haven't mastered it. It's a very new sport. Most of these guys just fight. They just fight. There's no skill or art to what they do. For the most part, they learn the basics of different skills, of different fighting styles, of different fighting techniques. They learn the basics of those skills and then carry that into the ring and then use it however they see fit. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what that is. And then when you look at the average MMA fighter, I mean, most of them, their records are like 20 and like 10 or some shit. You know what I mean? That's like the average. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys don't make it to 30 and 40 and 0, and they don't make it to that shit. They don't make it to that because they're not masters at their skills. You have a very few that actually get to, like, you know, I don't even know that any of these dudes are 20 and 0 or 25 and 0. I don't even know that these guys even get to that point. It's just like I mentioned, these guys are not masters at their craft. They're not masters. Okay? They're so fixated on learning these different abilities, these different things, which can be beneficial if used correctly. But the point I'm trying to make is it needs to be used correctly in order to be beneficial. The fact of the matter is, if you put somebody in the, if you had two guys, they went up against each other, and one guy was a master with a pistol. He was a master. You motherfuckers shooting pistols, you know what I mean? Looking like goddamn, what's this shit called? Metal Gear Solid and shit. You know what I mean? The guy off Metal Gear Solid. You get what I'm trying to say? You put him in there, he's a master with the pistol. And you put him in there with somebody like, you know what I mean, some amateur with a bazooka. He got a bazooka, but he an amateur. The motherfucker with the pistol is going to win every single time. Because just because you got a bazooka, okay? Just because you got something that may on the surface look superior, it doesn't mean that you're going to win against somebody with a pistol. Because that person with a pistol is a master with that pistol. Okay, it's like the same thing I say with people like Adonis Stevenson. Like when you talk about Adonis Stevenson, when a lot of people talk about Adonis Stevenson, they disrespect the man. They always say the man's one hand dominant. And I've done videos about this shit in the past. You know, they say the man's one-handed. He's one hand dominant. You know what I mean? He's not gonna be that good because of that. And I'm just like, bullshit. Adonis Stevenson is a master with that left hand. So what that means is no matter what the fuck you do in the ring, he's going to hit you with that left hand. Okay? It's like, that left hand is like Jordan. Okay? You're not going to stop Jordan. You can only hope to contain Jordan. That's how that left hand is. That's how a boxer is. A real boxer. He's a master with his hands. Versus somebody who boxes a little bit, who kicks a little bit, who wrestles a little bit, who does this, who does that a little bit. A little bit. Everything's a little bit. Everything's a little bit. None of them are masters. None of them study their craft. None of them take the real time to get good at their craft for the most part. And yeah, I understand. Some of them get like black belts and shit. And you know what I mean? They get, you know what I mean? Which is cool. So, you know, whatever. That's cool. But again, you're utilizing different skill sets, different fighting styles, different crafts. You're not a master at all those crafts. And if you're taking the time to develop one craft, that means you're neglecting other crafts. Okay? Actually, I said that wrong. If you're taking the time, if you're a master at being a black belt, okay, you're a master black belt, you're no longer, or master karate, you're a master in karate or whatever, you're not taking the time to get better, even though you're a master at karate, you're not taking the time to get better at being a karate master because you're focusing on other crafts. You're focusing on other disciplines. Okay? So for somebody to completely focus on one discipline, boxing, versus someone who focuses on a multitude of different disciplines, that like I said, that don't mean shit. In a fight, anything can happen. Just because you know how to wrestle and hug and choke and knee and elbow, that don't mean you're going to win in a fight with somebody who's a boxer. You can try to wrestle a motherfucker all day, but if he hit your ass with a right cross before you get close, the fight is over. Okay, so, you know, these motherfuckers that go on and on about this, you know what I mean? You know, this is a growing thing, man. These MMA, some of these MMA dudes, you know what I mean? They talk all this bullshit about boxing and all this, you know what I mean? Y'all motherfuckers need to learn y'all place. For real. It's two different sports for a reason. Because one from MMA cannot do boxing, just like one from boxing, it would be hard for them to do MMA. But honestly, I feel like it would be easier for a boxer to make the transition to MMA than an MMA fighter to make the transition from a boxer. Honestly, that's how I feel. Because most of the successful people in MMA, they're really good boxers. They're really good boxers. They win their fights with boxing. Look at a lot of the top MMA fighters. Even Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is a decent boxer. Okay? He's decent. He wins a lot of his fights boxing. Okay? Look at guys like Rampage. They win a lot of their fights standing up, boxing. Okay, look at a lot of these MMA dudes. Their success comes from their boxing knowledge. So to me, I feel like a goddamn boxer could make the transition to MMA and be relatively successful there. Whoop some ass. Learn a little bit of wrestling, learn a little bit of grappling, learn a little bit of kicking, and beat the fuck out of motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So you know what, man? I'm tired of this motherfucker jumping up on the stage talking this bullshit about boxing, man. Half a fight. You look, Conor McGregor, bruh. You wouldn't make it as a boxer. You wouldn't make it as no boxer. The shit that I done seen from you, you wouldn't make it as a boxer. Not to mention, it's rumors of this dude getting knocked out by Brandon Rios in sparring. Knocked out by getting beat the fuck up by what's the guy name? I done forgot the guy's name. That's how unimportant he is. Getting beat the fuck up by that random guy. Man, don't disrespect the sport of boxing. Alright? You can talk all that shit to Floyd Mayweather you want. I don't give a fuck about that shit. But don't disrespect boxing. Okay? Because the moment you disrespect boxing, that's the moment you end up on your motherfucking back. All right, so that's all I got to say about this shit, man. Let me know what y'all think about this shit. You know what I mean? I'm going. I don't know. I'm ordered to fight and that shit, but you know what, man? I'm definitely gonna watch it. I'm probably gonna go to like a bar or some shit and watch it. You know what I mean? Them bars gonna be D the fuck up though. But I'm gonna go to like a bar and watch it or whatever. You know what I mean? And because it should be a relatively entertaining event. You know what I mean? I think Tank gonna be fighting Tevin Farmer. That should be interesting. You know what I mean? There's a few little interesting things about the fight that I'm looking forward to overall. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna watch the fight. You know what I mean? But and all the build up and all that shit was entertaining and all that. But Conor McGregor, like I said, motherfucker, don't disrespect boxing. Because the moment that shit happens is the moment you're going to end up on your motherfucking back. So that's all I got to say. Let me know what you guys think. Hit it up in the comment section below. You can also hit me up on Twitter, Box Capital X or Capital X Die. You can hit me up on Facebook, Box -sign or -sign Die. Like the videos, subscribe, all that bullshit. But until next time, it's your boy D Dynamite signing out. Holla at your motherfucking boy.